Hey, welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pre-game show. It's Greg Boyce and it's Mario Terabasi. Jay Zawoski will be singing this one out today, but hopefully we'll have him back in the saddle tomorrow since back-to-backs. But it's Hawks, it's Jets in Winnipeg coming up at 2 o'clock. And we're here to preview the game, so let's get right to it. Busy morning already.
Yeah.
Some more roster moves made. Jared Tinordi will return today off of IR. They also, as many of us were after Friday night's game, or Thursday night's game, against Detroit, a lot of the chatter was, hey, it looks like Wyatt Kaiser should use some time in the AHL. And once again, listening to our show, the Blackhawks have sent Wyatt Kaiser to the Rockford IceHogs.
They are also sending Isaak Phillips.
It wasn't an either or. They have sent both of those guys back down and have recalled Louis Crevier, all 6'8". Give me some Crevier Vlasic. He's
a big guy.
2 shifts.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
Well, what is it?
18 feet of defenseman.
Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov are a pair. I think that might be the tallest combined defensive pair in the league.
Let's get a 14-foot defensive pairing out there.
Let's go for it. That's a lot of length on the ice.
Yeah, Crevier, kind of a bit of a surprise call-up. Maybe not. I mean, he's improved immensely.
Yeah,
he's kind of one of these overlooked prospects, especially on the defensive side. You know, with a lot of the attention to guys like Kaiser and Phillips and Allen and DeMastro, Vlasic, Korchinski. Not a lot of people are thinking of a 7th-round pick from 3 years ago.
Right.
But he's quietly played well. He spent most of his first pro season in Indy. And has played well in Rockford, so they're going to give him the look.
Not today, though, but
he played last night. It makes it easier when the IceHogs are in Winnipeg, too.
Yeah.
They played in the same arena last night and again tomorrow against the Manitoba Moose.
Is it the same arena?
Same arena.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Same building.
I always thought it was 2 different ones, but I guess
same rink.
I just assume there's just hockey rinks everywhere in Canada.
Yeah,
so.
Well, it is Winnipeg though, so they only got the one.
Okay,
they got the short end of the stick. I'm sure they got plenty of smaller ones, but so Crevier. This is a quote. Ben Pope, kind of not knowing, but his his keen eye and keen observations asked IceHogs head coach Anders Sorensen about Crevier last night. This was the quote he put via his Twitter or X account. He's taken a really big step here in his second year pro. He's really developed in terms of his position and his stick habits and his ability to break up plays because he's so rangy. And then he asked Sorensen if Crevier might be a call-up candidate, and he did a great job hiding what was coming. That was last night. After the IceHogs lost.
I mean, far be it from Anders Sorensen to tell you what he's thinking, but that's a pretty good secret kept.
Yeah,
so
Crevier not in the lineup today. It will be
Tinordi
and Nikita
Zaitsev gets in
as a pair.
Yeah, I mean, it's, without Kaiser, without Phillips, they go down to Rockford. They're going to get significant minutes down there. I would believe they'll remain a pair together defensively in Rockford. I think that's probably in their best interests for the Blackhawks, because then when one or both or eventually both of them get back up, you play them together again as a third pair pairing either later this year or potentially next year, depending on what happens. But I think you get Tinordi back. I think when we were talking about it Thursday night, it just kind of seemed like, like you said, like Luke Richardson loves Jared Tinordi. Like it seemed pretty inevitable that he was going to come back into the lineup when he was brought off of IR. And Zaitsev was just kind of hanging around. And he's a natural right side defenseman. So I think getting him into some game action, getting him into a spot that would make the most sense for him and for Tinordi to both play their rights, their correct sides. I think it's fine. And look, if you're going to play them 12 minutes together, I don't think you're going to go out there and give either of these guys more than 15 minutes of ice time in their first action in a while. So this will probably be a game where the top four of Vlasic and Jones, Korchinski and Murphy, they get a lot of ice time, and Tinordi and Zaitsev will fill in the gaps there. Yeah.
So Kaiser, Phillips back to Rockford. As mentioned, Rockford lost 4-2 last night to the Manitoba Moose.
Colton Dock had 2 assists.
2 assists for
Del
Colton.
Mastro had a goal.
Yep. But they need some defensive help too, because Philip Roos was hurt and did not play the third period last night, so his status is kind of up in the air. So they definitely could use.
Probably makes it easier to send both Kaiser and Phillips down.
Yeah, it also helps that you can literally just send them across the hall.
Yeah, right.
No bus ticket needed.
Yeah, don't miss the bus on your way out of the locker room. Yeah, it'd be good to get those guys some significant minutes, and also in the lineup tonight or this afternoon. Probably just for today before his work visa gets all figured out. But Anthony Beauvillier jumps into the lineup, his Blackhawks debut after being acquired from the Vancouver Canucks. He jumps right into the top line with Connor Bedard and Philip Kurashev. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch today. That top line trio, their first game together, Beauvillier's first game in Chicago. Really interested to see what he brings to the team on the ice. You take it with a grain of salt because he's jumping into the lineup, probably only had a practice or two, probably just one practice with the team before this game. So it'll be interesting to see how he gels. But if it gets off on the right foot, like, you might say, hey, there's a legitimate top line for this team. And maybe that trio sticks together now that the Blackhawks have lost Taylor Hall for the season. They've lost Corey Perry for the season. I think you get Nick Foligno back down in the lineup, where probably benefits him and the team the most. And so it'll be interesting to see what that top line looks like.
Yeah, should be fun. Spoiler alert, that won't be the last time you hear Anthony Beauvillier's name on this show. But I do believe we have Luke Richardson talking this morning ahead of the game, courtesy of Chicago Blackhawks. We got our guy Joey. We stole him from CHGO Bowls today, since he's the only producer left in town, apparently. So
not stealing. I'll be with them later, but yes.
Okay. Well, they are loaning us to you.
Correct.
Double duty.
Yeah, you are playing a doubleheader today. We appreciate it. So yeah, we get to hear from Luke Richardson. And we'll come back and go over those lineups and who's your Hawk, and then talk about
some foolishness,
some pud wax in Winnipeg.
Lineup. Soderblom will be starting, and we have Zaitsev and Tinordi back on defense, and we have Beauvillier up front, taking Reese Johnson out of the lineup.
What went into the decision to send Kaiser and Phillips on?
Well, I think just the health of the two veteran guys, and right now I think just a little bit of veteran steadiness and some physicality maybe back there, and you know what, just to give the two young guys a break of playing in the stress of the NHL. We just didn't have the luxury of giving each of them a veteran guy to kind of lean on out there. They had to kind of work through things on the fly themselves, and I think they've had some really good things at times, but right now we just think it's best for them to go work on their game a little bit in the American League, and utilize maybe settling things a little bit with some veteran guys back there right now.
With Crevier coming up, do you think he'll get to play?
Yeah, he might have a chance to play. I think he played last night, so our decision today was just to keep him as number 7 to get a little bit of rest after last night's game, and then going forward, if we need him, I think it'd be great. I think he played really well. He made big steps over the last season. He had a really good camp with us, and I liked what I saw from him last night in the game as well.
Did you have any big takeaways from last night or observations?
I think it's always kind of a little bit, not sloppy, but just like pressing things when they know. I think the management and the big teams here watching, it always happens, and we said it before the game, so maybe we jinxed it. And I think a lot of penalties in the game disrupted the flow of the game. But other than that, I thought Colton Dock was really good up around the net and annoying people and playing really strong this year. So he was impressive to watch, and I liked Big Louie in the back end. I thought he was steady. He had a nice block in the penalty kill, and he just keeps it simple out there.
I know it's just those prospect games and training camp, but Kaiser, I mean, the way that he handled the puck and he played in small space, do you think Rockford could benefit and play on the power play and just maybe some of that Vlasic treatment from last season?
You know what? I think just getting back to maybe playing a little bit more all situations, and again, he looked great in training camp, and he had some really good games with us this year. I think the one in Vegas was probably his best game of the year and one of the toughest teams. So he can play here. I think it's just, for a young defenseman, it's can you do it every night and not maybe get your confidence shattered a little bit. It's hard to get it back in this league. So I think just going down to work on that and play a little bit, handling the puck a little bit more, and maybe more offensive zone situations, and just making simple plays, not making it too difficult. Like, his skating ability gets him out of a lot of trouble, but it also can get him into trouble. So just learning when to use that.
What's the advice for Beauvillier coming in?
Just use his best attributes. His speed. He can shoot the puck. He doesn't have to handle it and make plays back and forth to Connor and Hershey to be a good new teammate. I think scoring a goal would be the best way to be a good new teammate. And so and he's going to help out in the power play, and he's going to give us a boost to speed. He's always he loves the game. So I think those three guys have a lot of things that are very similar, and I think looking to see if there's some chemistry early there.
Is there any clarity on the visa?
No, so it's tonight right now is all we know, and after that we might have to wait a few days, and unfortunately that's it. But we're happy to have him today, and we'll just work through that. There's nothing we can do about the other.
Thanks, Luke.
All righty, that's head coach Luke Richardson, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks, ahead of this afternoon's game against the Winnipeg Jets. Hard to find anything to really disagree about with the Kaiser and Phillips talk. Two guys need it. Kaiser definitely needs it. Apparently, Texas Longhorns just scored a touchdown. We've another big thanks to Joe. We've pulled him away from his Longhorns in the championship game today. So, but yeah, they definitely could use it. I thought Phillips played well enough to stay here, but with the two veterans, Tinordi, we all know Luke Richardson loves him some Jared Tinordi.
Yep.
And it could just be the point where, we're paying Nikita Zaitsev $4 million. Just play him at this point.
Give him give him kind of a bone to just say, hey, we'll get you in the lineup, we'll get you some playing time.
Yeah, maybe get him a few games, and maybe if he shows he could be serviceable, maybe you find a team that, if you can retain half the salary,
maybe
a team gets a bunch of injuries, maybe. But
I mean, Nikita Zadorov is fetching 2 mid-round picks. I mean, maybe you get future considerations for Nikita
retain half
Zaitsev.
the salary and get a 5th-round pick. I mean,
Nikita
Zadorov had $2.1 million.
Nikita Zaitsev.
Sorry, yeah. Too many Nikita Z's today.
Nikita
Zaitsev at $2.1 million as your 6th defenseman on a playoff team. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, there's bubble teams too that might get to that point in the season as trade deadline approaches, and get a little desperate, get a little itchy, and say, hey, we need to make some sort of change on defense. And if he gets into some games, put some good games together, that would probably benefit him to have an opportunity to get more ice time elsewhere. And it would benefit the Blackhawks, because then you open up a roster spot that maybe later in the season you fill with one of these young defensemen. You'd be able to bring Kaiser back, or Phillips, or maybe Ethan Del Mastro or Nolan Allen, one of those guys that have been playing well in Rockford to start the season. So it's it could be on the table, but not getting my hopes up.
No, it's a long shot.
Yeah, I think It's good to get him into the lineup. I don't expect him to be a regular, but hey, maybe they look at the top 4 in Rockford being all 4 of those young guys, and that's best for their development. Yeah. And you just ride out the rest of the season with Tinordi and Zaitsev as your 3rd pair, and you just get through it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. This season is still about development. This season is still about getting your...
And it doesn't always have to happen at the NHL level.
No, in fact, a lot of it shouldn't happen at the NHL level, especially for defensemen. The more time you play down there, like Korchinski is an exception to the rule, only because he can't play in the AHL.
Only because there's another rule that says he can't.
Exactly. But I mean, but Korchinski isn't a guy where I've been like, oh my God, he's got to go to the AHL. I mean, he's had some moments where you're like, okay,
he'd probably look a lot better in the AHL.
Sure, but I don't think that's is stunting his development at all.
No.
Where Kaiser, you saw him hit a wall. You saw him lose some confidence. He's fighting everything out there. He needs to get that. He needs to get back into his groove. And Phillips, I guess it's just, hey, the organization feels he's better served playing big minutes in Rockford. And it's hard to argue with that because we saw what it did for Vlasic. Like, the proof is there, what happens when you take your time with a young defenseman, what can happen. Now, I'm not saying everybody that plays a full season in Rockford turns into Alex Vlasic.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt.
There's a recent enough example of that kind of success, or at least positive progression in development where Vlasic did it and it worked out. Phillips has played more seasons than expected in Rockford because of a few seasons ago with the COVID shutdowns and whatnot. He got an exemption to go from the OHL to the AHL. So he's actually, in theory, probably a year ahead in his development than he would have been in normal circumstances.
He would have played at least one more year in the OHL before coming. But
I mean, if it's just a little bit of extra time in the minors for Phillips or getting your confidence back for Kaiser, I think it's good moves and hard to argue against.
And I talked to Isaak last week after practice, and I asked him because Luke Richardson always likes to say when we send one of these guys down after a stint in the NHL, we want them to go down there, play with confidence, so when it's time to come back, they're ready to contribute right away. And I asked Isaak, hey, this is what your coach says. Do you think that's true since you've been back and forth? And he says, yeah, you got to go down there and just be ready to be a top guy down there, because being a top guy down there gets you back up here. So we'll see how that goes. We do have our lineups for today, the official lineup that we talked about a lot, but as we mentioned earlier, Anthony Beauvillier making his Blackhawks debut with Connor Bedard and Philip Kurashev on the top line. Second line, Tyler Johnson is centering Lucas Reichel, Taylor Radish, Nick Foligno back down to that third line with Jason Dickinson and Joey Anderson. I think that's probably going to be the most effective line today, at least consistently. Then you have the fourth line, Ryan Donato centering Boris Kachuk and Mackenzie Entwistle. We mentioned earlier Reese Johnson is the healthy scratch up front. Our D pairs, the top two pairs stay the same. Alex Vlasic, Seth Jones. Top pair, second pair, Kevin Korchinski, Connor Murphy, and then the aforementioned mega duo of Jared Tinordi and Zaitsev is on the third pair of the graphic.
Nikita Zaitsev.
Nikita Zaitsev is there, but when we have Soderblom starting in net, would like to see Arvid have a big game.
Just have a steady game. I think that
make
would
the
be
saves.
The best thing
you
for
need
him.
to.
Yeah,
and keep the rebounds to a minimum. He looked better his last time out. There was not as much swimming in the net and over skating side to side that's gotten him in trouble a lot this year. So we'll see. He's
another one where it's like the development path is you're in kind of that like limbo where like going down to Rockford's not going to help. So you have to figure it out at the NHL level.
Well, he's playing in a building he's had a lot of success in playing for Rockford.
Yeah.
He's had I looked up his numbers. He's had good numbers against Manitoba in that building. So, maybe
that helps.
Yeah.
Little
hey, I know I could play in this building. Now, granted, the competition is a little better.
A little bit, yeah.
The Winnipeg Jets, kind of a surprising team. I think they were a team that a lot of people thought, oh, they're going to be one of those teams in the West that fall out. They're not going to make the playoffs. And here they are. They're in third place.
Yeah,
in the Central. They're right in the mix of it with the Stars and the Avalanche.
They were one of those teams that kind of felt like they could go either way. Like they made a few changes, and it looked like maybe that'll turn them in the right direction, or it could just be more of the same, and they stay outside the playoff picture, but, kind of in that middle ground of the Central Division. But, I mean, they've been playing well. They made a commitment to Scheifele and Hellebuck before the season. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, a game where the Blackhawks have to show up ready to go. I mean, with San Jose's win last night, Blackhawks and Sharks are tied for worst in the NHL based off of points. So, I mean, you have no other teams that you are ahead of in the standings. So every game you have to be ready because you are the underdog.
Yep, the Sharks started the season as one of the worst starts to a season.
What was it, 0-10-1,
And now they're 3-1-1, and they're like one of the hottest teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
And they've won multiple games in a row. Blackhawks have yet. They're the only team in the league not to win back-to-back games. So
Let's do it this weekend.
That'd be fabulous in the division. So yeah, the Jets basically back-to-back years had their head coach, two different head coaches, Maurice and Bonas, say at the end of the year, I can't do nothing with these guys. And then they decided, Blake Wheeler gone, former captain, Pierre-Luc Dubois traded. As you mentioned, they re-upped both Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck. A lot of people thought those guys might get traded too, but they both signed 7-year extensions. Scheifele tied for the team lead in scoring with 24 points. This is Kyle Connor's team, though, now. 14 goals, 24 points in his 22 games this season. I mean,
he's one of those underrated guys that I don't think a lot of people talk about in the league. That's just really consistently good. Yeah, could be.
If he played, in Toronto, or if he played on the Rangers or the Bruins, he'd be a household name. But playing in the smallest market of the Canadian teams kind of hurts him there. But hey, he's doing great. Cole Perfetti, one of those prospects we've heard about for a long time, finally getting the production they've been hoping for. He's got 8 goals, 18 points in 22 games. And so, that's the kind of guy that we have to be mindful of. He's played multiple full seasons in the AHL. Yep. He's only 22. That's the more normal trajectory for first-round picks. So we keep that in mind as we move forward in this rebuild, that not everybody's going to hit.
Yeah, not everybody's first year in the NHL is Rookie of the Year caliber.
No.
Takes some time.
Got me all choked up there. Speaking of getting me all choked up, we should talk about the pudwackery that happened in Winnipeg yesterday.
Let's knock out Who's Your Hawk first.
That's right. Who's Your Hawk?
Quick.
I forgot. Yeah. Right.
So without Jay here, it's a 2-man race today. I went with Jason Dickinson just because I feel like this is a game where, I wanted to change it up, shift it up a little bit. He's got Nick Foligno back with him. Joey Anderson's been playing pretty well collectively in his call-up. So I think Jason Dickinson is going to be a benefactor of that. Would love to see that third line get going today.
It's hard to argue. It's December, new month, but his November was probably the best month of his NHL career. So one of the best team players on the team for the last month. I'm going to go with the new guy, Anthony Beauvillier. Why the hell not? New guy bump, wants to make a good impression on his new team, playing top line with Connor Bedard, playing
that'll help
on the top power play unit. He's going to get his chances. Don't let me down.
Don't let me down. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Would love to see a good game from him so that he can hopefully take that momentum into his actual extended stay with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Not his one and done in Canada.
He might not be able to play tomorrow unless he gets that visa stuff worked out. He might have to wait.
We'll see.
But maybe they know something we don't know, and they think he'll be able to play tomorrow.
Would be nice.
We'll find out tomorrow. We'll talk about it on tomorrow's pregame show.
Yeah, tomorrow. a lot of. We have so many games coming up. It is crazy. How often the Blackhawks are playing.
I think we only have like 3 or 4 non-game day shows between here and the end of the year. It's crazy. I like it though.
It's wild. Yeah, I'd much rather talk about actual hockey than any other tomfoolery, such as what was going on yesterday with Connor Bedard in his media availability that he had after yesterday's practice in Winnipeg. So, Joe, if you want to throw up the tweet from Ben Pope. Ben was saying that Winnipeg media asked Bedard about the impact of the Corey Perry rumors yesterday. Ben interjecting here. Frankly, I don't think this was an appropriate time to do so, but I do think his response is worth posting. This is what Bedard said. He said, quote, "It's just a bunch of BS on the internet. It's, of course, been an effect on myself and my family, and that's not fair, but it's out of our control. It's all just fake, made-up stuff." So I saw that originally and was just upset. Like, that, someone in the, away media would bring up, the fake rumor about Perry and Bedard and what has been dispelled and, debunked and all that stuff over the last week. We kind of said on the show a few times, like, this probably should be concluded now. Like, we should be done with this. It pretty much should have been ended with Perry's statement and we're all moving forward. Well, not the Winnipeg media. Then I saw this next tweet from, I believe, Jared Stoller put it out there, that it wasn't just one question. He had said that it was a line of questioning from the Winnipeg media. It wasn't just, "Hey, what did you think of the rumors?" And there's no transcription, there's no video that I could have found from the media scrum. So I don't know how many questions it was, but it was enough for Bedard to just basically say, "Hey, shut up."
Yeah.
Like, paraphrasing, but it's just, I can't imagine him in his position, 18 years old. He's a future face of the league, and this is what he's getting questioned about on the road. It's a bunch of strangers talking to him, basically, and they're asking him about this, probably one of the worst things he's experienced as a member of the hockey community at large in the public space. And if I was him, like, why would you ever talk to the media again? Like, why would you ever go in front of a camera, go in front of a microphone if you don't know what you're going to get? First, you don't know what you're going to get every question. That's fine. But to get that at that time, after everything that has happened in the last week and a half, like, what the fuck? Like, that
I don't know how it didn't get shut down, to be honest with you. Like,
that's the other thing too. Like, if it was multiple questions, I mean, you got to think that, like, someone's got to say, "Hey, we're not taking these questions," and we've been there before, both in NHL locker rooms and AHL locker rooms.
There's always a media person within earshot of a scrum, to kind of put the kibosh on anything. So I was kind of surprised it was allowed to be multiple questions. I don't know what you think kind of answer you're going to get.
Right.
Like, seriously.
Are you just going for your clip?
Go
I don't get
your
it.
Trash article about your own team. Yeah, embarrassing. And this is how you make Connor Bedard unavailable on the road going forward.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
when he remember when Toronto, when our,
exactly,
Captain Hot Dog in Toronto was crying because they didn't make him available enough, even though he would totally spoke to the media the day before the game.
Yeah, which he was available. Yeah.
Right. So what happens when they just say, "Forget it, we're not putting him out there.
Yeah.
He's only available in Chicago," where, we're not dumb enough to ask him questions about that. Like,
well,
the team debunked it. Corey Perry debunked it. What do you need to ask? How did that made you feel? How do you think it made him feel? Right, I just laughed it off. It made me feel great.
Yeah.
No.
LOL.
Yeah, no, of course. It's not a good thing. So just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, I don't know the expected outcome of that question other than just to be salacious at that point. And that's that's not the point of being in a media scrum.
Hopefully they whoever it was will no longer be welcome back in a Blackhawks locker room anytime soon. Or an NHL locker room for that matter.
Who knows?
That's not my decision. All right.
I've never really had animosity towards the Jets. I hope they win 7-1 today. The Blackhawks do.
That'd be fun.
Nice.
I'd enjoy that with 7 goals from Anthony Beauvillier. All right. That's it. Puck drop is coming up real soon. Thanks for tuning in to the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show. Mario and I will be right back here minutes after the game concludes. Hopefully we'll be talking about a Blackhawks win. If not, we'll do what we usually do and talk about a Blackhawks loss.
We'll make it.
One way or the other, we're going to talk about Blackhawks Jets right after the game. So thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't. and we'll see you back here after the game.
We all silly like the mayor.